Hey, welcome to Occam's Razor. Now, for those of you who haven't been to my other channels, I do have a bit of a rant channel, Occam's Razor, but I also have a cooking and canning channel and gardening channel. Although today, I'm not going to be doing that. I'm just going to be going over some of the more auspicious stories of the week as we do a little bit of cooking here. Alright, let's turn that on. I'm going to turn that on too. Bring that up. Bring some heat on here. Yeah. Well, before we get started, let's just show you what we're making today. Just going to have some basic slabs of pork that I've spiced up. And I'm going to sear that, put it aside, and then saute some veggies, and then throw the chops back in, and then finish the whole mess and have that with some rice and some pumpkin that I've canned from 2 years ago. Didn't can any pumpkin last year. I still had so much pumpkin left over from the year before. Hey, where's our lid? There we go. Okay. Now, do a quick check on our camera. Make sure everything's good to go. Yeah. Right, so as I wait for the pan to heat up here, one of our stories that continues to aggravate us. Canadians reject that they live on stolen Indigenous land, although new poll reveals a generational divide. Yeah, so what are they polled, 1,500 people? And they got the results that they did. The generational divide, what's that from? Obviously, from the education of our youth. And an education system that has been infiltrated by cultural Marxists. So, of course, they've been teaching them whatever it is they've been teaching them, and of course they're going to change their attitude, right? They've been what? They've been raising pride flags at the schools, all that cultural Marxist mayhem going on. And of course, as part of that, they've been exposing these students to this religious dogma of having to acknowledge these land requirements. It's all it is cultural revisionism, right? This is how you destroy your society. You destroy your society by changing the past, by erasing the past, and by, of course, erasing its citizens by replacing them through mass immigration. I see the Beach Boys' Brian Wilson has passed away recently. So, he's had a good run, 82. Could have had a longer run. Took care of himself. Anybody watch Question Period today? I did. I don't know why I bother. All it does is aggravate the fuck out of me. Because you will never, ever get a liberal politician to answer a question. Well, they'll give you a non-answer. They'll answer the question as if you're asking a different question. Right? They won't even go through the necessity of saying, well, the question you should be asking is this. No, they just answer the question like it belongs to a different question. Not even what they're asking in Parliament. But I'm really not impressed with the Conservatives at all in Parliament. You know you're going to get the same bloody answer to the same question that they won't answer over and over again. And instead of taking that time period to expose Canadians to some of the other pressing topics that they need to know about that the mainstream media is not covering, like the World Health Organization Treaty, steeped to be ready to take away all our rights. We won't talk about that at all. We just silently signed on. Not a peep from the Conservatives. Nada. And what the hell's going on with polio? Why the hell would you hold a press conference at the same time as question period yesterday? I mean, your people are complete morons. You have no concept whatsoever on what you need to do to get the messaging out there. Every single real item that you need to talk about, you barely touched. And you paid the price. You paid the price. You know, could have had a country. Instead, we've got this self-destructing shit show going on. Got some heat on here? Oh yeah. Just about getting ready. Where's my timer? Oh, I guess we'll have to do timer free. Ah, good. Yeah, so a little pumpkin here. As you can see, it's pretty juicy. That's okay. Because once I bring it up here to a simmer and heat it up, it'll just take most of this away and leave a nice flavor behind with the brown sugar and the cinnamon, nutmeg, bit of clove, bit of butter. You can add some salt and pepper if you like. All right, it's time to sear these bloody buggers. Yeah, Canada's heading down a really bad path. Every single bill that the Liberals are bringing in, my God, each of them with their own poison pill. It's insane. Well, they're on their way to making cash illegal. They passed that bill, if that gets royal assent, doing any transaction over $10,000 in cash will be illegal. And people can say, oh, what's the big deal? You know, it's just $10,000. No. They start at $10,000 and then they will whittle their way down. And then they'll finally just say, oh, why do you need cash at all? Why not just use fake cash? CBDCs. And now they want to spend a whole bunch of more money on the military. Anybody who's watched the videos on my channel will know what I feel about that. Nobody in their right mind should be joining the Canadian Armed Forces today. They are steeped very deeply in diversity, equity, and inclusion. You will have regular struggle sessions. You will be required to do several online courses. And every other month, there will be another online course for you to do to ensure that your thinking is correct. And should you join the officer corps, if you think of ever achieving the rank of colonel, you will be subjected to a psychological analysis to ensure that your thinking is correct and in line with the new ethos and values that they put into the Canadian Armed Forces. And that includes ensuring that you understand that heteronormativity is evil. That's right, the normal, standard biological imperative of every life form on this planet to reproduce is now racist. And if you say it isn't racist, you're never making colonel. As a matter of fact, they probably don't want you in the Armed Forces. As a matter of fact, for your punishment, or I should say additional training required, they'd probably make you in charge of having to change the tampons in the men's room. Alright, that's enough of this. Now we have some nice winter garden onions. Yeah. Had some small onions there left over from last year. It started its seeds late in the year. And so some of those were popped up in late April. And they've been growing. But of course, they won't grow very big. And then as soon as they start going to seed, well, you let it go to seed, or you can collect them before they go to seed and cook with them. I see your rice is boiling. Bring that down to the simmer. Note the time. 15 minutes. It's long grain rice. This particular version is 3-to-2 ratio. They say you should prefer to let it soak ahead of time to make the rice a little softer when you cook it. I don't know if that's a Mandela effect or not, but I just don't remember a lot of my cooking recipes early on when I started cooking for myself on my own 40 years ago. Used to eat a lot of rice back then too, but now the recipes I had are the types of rice that I bought that, soak for a while. Oh, maybe just growing up in North America, a different kind of rice. Just keep sauteing that. Add our garlic. So what do you all think about that jail time for the man with the modest porn collection? Oh wait, that's right. There's no jail time for the man with the modest porn collection. I'm telling you, the justice system in Canada is out of its freaking mind. Now they were asking the justice minister today, Jerry, if he understood what the hell was going on with the bail system. And typical liberal response. Oh, we are committed to safety and blah, 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 and we will introduce this and introduce that. And all the while, most Canadians not paying attention to the fact that it is the existing bills that they put in that have destroyed the legal system. Well, not destroyed it, just made it simpler. He kept going on about how, was it Peel Police? Is that where they did all those drug busts? Wherever it was. Congratulating the police on the great job that they've done, blah, blah, blah. Well, I can tell you, the cops probably aren't too freaking happy because no sooner did they arrest them, 6 of those big old drug dealers are gone. Gone back out on the street. Now, let's give that a bit of a cook for about 3 minutes. And I see Trump's got himself a deal with China for rare earth minerals. Canada, you could have had a deal yourself, but no. And the Jews in Canada are outraged at RCMP war crimes probe of Canadian IDF soldiers. What the hell is the RCMP doing, spending resources, investigating the Israeli Defense Force? They're understaffed by 10% or more by now. I mean, the last figures they have at 10% is probably worse. They're having huge recruiting issues like the military. And you'd think with their limited resources that they would decide to investigate things that we need investigated in Canada. Oh, but no, of course not. Maybe that's why Canada has turned into a drug trafficking, human trafficking, drug manufacturing haven for crime lords and drug lords. After our wonderful bail policies and all the glad handing that happens in the back rooms provincially, I mean, we know this is happening in BC, and what, David Eby just come back with a deal from China? Yeah, so now what, you're going to build some ferries in China instead of building them in Canada? Did they not understand the optics? Oh, but then again, David Eby doesn't care about optics. Remember, this is the guy who won his election by promising that he would give his constituents money and then turned around and reneged. No, we're not going to give that money. Then immediately gave themselves their own raise in the provincial parliament. I'm telling you, people have short memories. They're not paying attention. But I think they're going to be bloody paying attention come next election. Know them by what they do. And look what's happening with employment. Oh, man, I've seen this coming years before. Anybody who saw the Liberals get back in under Trudeau 10 years ago could have seen this coming. And now all predictions have come true. Right? The economy's toast and going south. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of Canadians have fled the country and taken their wealth with them. Many are poised to do the same thing again. Of course, some people are hanging on, hoping that Alberta, perhaps even Saskatchewan, will be successful and leave this fetid nation that has been destroyed by the communists. Now, this is my first live broadcast on X. And I don't know if a lot of people know that I'm a 38-year veteran of the Canadian Armed Forces. Spent 5.5 years in the Reserve Infantry and then got a direct entry into the Air Force. Back then, it was only known as the Canadian Forces, the CF. I went on to work on several airframes. At the schoolhouse, they trained us on the older airframes that they had in the shop. Even the old Tracker airplane was there. Not that we worked on it. It was just there as an example, especially for understanding flight line safety. Those huge propeller arcs. We did most of our training on the Tudors and on the small helicopter simulator items that they had at the schoolhouse at the time. My first posting was to 427 Squadron back in 1990. Worked on the Twin Huey and the Kiowa. About a year after I got there, the Occam crisis occurred, and our squadron was responsible for providing much of the other surveillance with some of the other TACL units that were there, because we had a light observation helicopter flight as well. And mapping and charting used them extensively. Before, we had access to a lot of satellites. My man used to fly over areas, take massive amounts of pictures, download them on these massive disks, and then go through the images for intelligence. How much the world has changed. How's this coming along? Oh, yeah. If we turn that off. Okay. All right. Add our herbs. Anyways, after 427, went on to search and rescue. Worked on the Labrador and Voyageur search and rescue. Back to TACL, worked on the Bell 412 Griffin. Then back to the schoolhouse to teach helicopters. And then while I was there, deployed to Afghanistan on the D model Chinook. And then got posted onto the C-130J, where I finished my career on the Hercs and moving into policy. All right. Soon about done. Another minute. So we see Carney made a big deal about going out and raising the pride flag, and of course there's been a lot of backlash. What it seems like 80-90% of sponsors for Pride this year have backed out and said, yeah, you know what, I think we're going to sit this one out. I think finally they have come to the realization that the entire movement has been hijacked, since it just used to be lesbian, gay, and bi, LGB. They should have left it alone, but no, the far left can never do that. Never let a crisis go to waste. You must seize it, polarize it. Alright, that's it. We're cooked. We got our pumpkin. The rice will be done shortly. Well, I gotta say, I don't know if I'm ever gonna regret not leaving this country when I have the chance, because we are headed down a dark, dystopian, totalitarian path. It's only a matter of time before they actually, if they get these bills through, it's only a matter of time before they start shutting down every aspect of freedom. Because that's the only way the communists can succeed, is if they shut down every single other opposing voice that would prove how disastrous and how evil they are. All right, well, if you watch this, thanks for hanging out. Well, we'll see if I can download this and actually put it on my channel. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Well, that turned out delicious. The pork was sliced up and put on the bed of rice with the sautéed mess on top, along with that reheated pumpkin, perfectly tasted and sweetened, with a bit of brown sugar, cinnamon, nutmeg, and a smidgen of clove. And here we have our pickle tray. Yes, some homemade sauerkraut. And it's zucchini pickles, bread and butter pickles. Yes, those are zucchini. And the pickled beans, spicy cinnamon beans. Of course, with every meal, must have a glass of clove tea, and wash that back with a glass of water with a teaspoon of bay leaf water. Bay leaf water made from a handful of bay leaves in a double boiler for about 2 hours. And you get this wonderful, strong bay leaf flavor. And it helps to digest your meal after. Yeah, well, can't wait to dig in.